This video focuses on some positive effects of video games. This video is about how video games could possibly benefit your self-confidence and self-esteem. It will briefly touch on the subjects stress, anxiety, depression, loneliness, and marginalization. It will not tell you how to treat these conditions. Please reach out to a professional in your local area if you feel unstable in any way. Breathe. Just relax and breathe. Everything will not be fine. Safety is not guaranteed. Justice is not guaranteed. Love is not guaranteed. You've probably heard the saying, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love somebody else? It has some truth to it, but it is worth remembering that even though you can despise yourself, you are able to show love and to give love to others. Real, true love. The saying should really be, if you can't love yourself, the world is a harsh place and it can break you. But it just doesn't sound that good and not really that uplifting. Video games are a sort of escapism. And when you're struggling, it can be soothing to sit down and join Luigi in a ghost hunt, defeat the devil, or even be chased by an evil being. It has soothed me before, and perhaps you've had that feeling as well. It feels good. Yeah? Now perhaps you've thought about why games like Demon's Souls, Bloodborne, or Dead Cells have become so popular. I mean, you die, and die again. So what's fun about it? Let's try and figure it out. Bloodborne is a notoriously hard game, and as I've already mentioned, you're going to die when you're playing it. And you're gonna die a lot. Some people argue that Bloodborne isn't actually a hard game, it just has a learning curve. I agree with both statements. Bloodborne is a hard game, and it is a game with a learning curve. You can actually master the game, but it do take a lot of effort. We're all different. No one has had the exact same experiences. I've played Diablo. You've played Diablo. But when I played Diablo, I was the one clicking the mouse. I was the one hearing fresh meat for the first time. I was the one walking through Tristram. You've had a similar experience, but you were in another room. You had different lighting. You had a different mouse, a better computer, and perhaps your parents just got divorced, and mine just went shopping. We've had similar experiences, yes, but never the exact same ones. I didn't experience death amongst my dear ones until I was in my 20s, but one of my classmates lost his father to a terminal illness at a young age. We had very different fears when it came to death. I was terrified of it. My classmate was not. He absolutely hated death, but he was not afraid of it. He had seen it, he had felt the ripples of it. He had already learned what it feels like to process sorrow, and I only had my abstract fear of what was to come. This, amongst other things of course, had a huge impact on how we experienced our teenage years. Try and think of your loved ones. Have they had experiences that made them look at the world differently? Most likely. Nothing is just right now. We are influenced by the world around us every single day, hour, minute, second. We are part of many communities. Some we are forced into, like family, school, work, and some we choose. We choose to play video games, and we choose to dedicate hours upon hours of our lives to these experiences we are having. So, why do people freely choose to die over and over again? There are many reasons, but one of the reasons is our need to achieve something. To be able to achieve something is one of the core needs of the human psyche. If we experience that we are unable to achieve anything, we will become unhappy. Now, the world is a crazy place, and different countries have different values, and some of those values really should have been abolished a long time ago. We are not guaranteed to feel valuable. We are not guaranteed to be able to achieve something. We should, but we are not. Perhaps you're a happy individual with no worries. Good for you. I'm glad you found happiness in your life. If you, however, know that you've experienced this feeling of being useless, or just unable to live up to others' expectations, or your own, try and think about when you had that feeling for the first time. Was it in your childhood, at home, in school, or at work? Perhaps you'll agree with me that no matter when it happened, it really sucked. Extroverts and introverts are very different from each other, but no matter how fond some of us are of being on our own, we do need some sort of community. It doesn't have to be a traditional kind of community like a family, a sports club, or childhood friends. It can be a small group you engage with in some thread on Reddit, or a following of people who don't really talk to each other but have some sort of community through worship of an artist. Communities can be a lot of things, and you can belong to a lot of different communities and engage with them in different ways. To feel as a valuable part of a community is a core need. But in these times, the demands in some of the communities we are forced into in real life are massive. Success is measured in grades and money. Children are being paid to get better grades, so they can get better jobs, so they can make more money for themselves and their country. To be able to get better grades and to be able to get better jobs, you'll have to comply with a lot of written and unwritten rules. Now here comes the issue. A lot of people are not built for this. Or perhaps the correct way to put it is that a lot of these forced communities are based on old, rigid systems and are not very inclusive or caring. Stress, depression, and anxiety have become common. Something is making people feel miserable. As I've hinted to earlier, a lot of people are not feeling any kind of joy, bending and turning to fit into certain standards. They do it anyway, because they don't have any other options. A lot of people are feeling down, living their everyday life in disharmony with their own needs and feelings. This can evoke a feeling of being a failure. When you don't even feel like you fit in at all, it's impossible to succeed. When you're forced to live in disharmony, you will need something to make you feel good. If you feel like a failure, you'll need to be able to experience success. This is Dead Cells. I've died many times in Dead Cells. When I die in Dead Cells, I'm given the opportunity to start over, keeping my improvements from my latest run. I keep growing stronger. I can get good at this. The same can be said about Dark Souls. I've died so many times, but I'm still better than when I started. I'm making progress. All of the Soulsborne games are lauded for their vague tutorials on how you should manage to get from point A to point B. It's up to you to figure out exactly how to do it. You know you need to progress. You know there are obstacles. And luckily, you know where you can find help, even if the game doesn't want to help you. You can actually achieve your goal. It's not an easy task, but it can be done. With enough practice and support from communities and guides on the internet, you can overcome the challenges thrown at you. You can figure out the system. You can beat it. It doesn't really work like that in real life. You will most likely encounter bosses who can't be defeated. Perhaps you can figure out their moveset and be prepared for the next attack, but you are not really able to do anything about it. You can't even properly defend yourself from the harm they are doing. You will sometimes feel the urge to quit the game entirely because you're stuck in a tough spot and you can't really seem to progress any further. You still need to go and do fetch quests, mundane assignments, or deal with a stress-inducing environment to get the coins you need to survive. It takes a lot to get through these tough spots in real life, but video games can aid you. If you feel like a failure, grab your controller of choice and conquer a game. Find a game that gives you a sense of achievement. A game like Bloodborne gave me a massive sense of achievement. I knew the game would be challenging, and I knew that it would take many hours to complete. But I did it. It felt good, and to this day, it can still provide me with a slight boost of confidence once in a while, knowing that I did it. When I feel like, this is it. This is more than I can handle. I remind myself that I survived Bloodborne, and I'll survive this challenge as well. Now, Bloodborne is an example. Really, it can be any game. But you have to feel like you progress, like what you do matter. If you are robbed this feeling in real life, it's important you get to feel it elsewhere. Progress can be many things, and you probably know best what has the biggest impact on you. Perhaps it's a high score, perhaps it's a good story, perhaps it's managing a theme park, perhaps it's beating a big boss, perhaps it's wandering through an impenetrable fog waiting for a scare. And it can also be all these mixed together. If it gives you any kind of sense of achievement, it's working. When I'm playing Demon Souls, well, first of all, I'm having fun. But I die. Sometimes I'm thinking, why do I keep doing this? But it's because I want to get that slight rush of self-accomplishment when I penetrate the fog to someplace new. It's because I want to see what the next enemy is like. I want to figure out how to defeat that enemy, and I want to get better at magic and to hear more of the story. I'm progressing through this adventure with my skills and my knowledge. We all have a different set of skills to work with, and it should be fun improving these skills. It should be fun achieving something. And yes, you should absolutely get to experience what achieving something feels like. Life can suck sometimes, it really can, but perhaps video games can be able to brighten your day. Perhaps they can boost your confidence and improve how you feel about yourself. If only a little bit. When you're feeling like a failure, you are actually telling it to yourself over and over again. Even if you're not aware of it, you can get stuck in a loop of telling yourself that you are a failure, and then every time something goes wrong, you'll be able to tell yourself that you were correct. You are indeed a failure. It's a terrible feeling, but it's so extremely difficult to get rid of it. You need to hear good things about yourself, and you need to experience achieving something. Video games are valid, and your achievements in video games are valid. Try and use video games to tell yourself that you are valuable. Because of course you are. Take care.